It is Tuesday. RawMikeRichards.com, broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto. 234 King Street East out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. Coming up today, we'll talk about some of the response to yesterday's video. I don't know what to say because it was so overwhelming and probably maybe the most emotional I've been in terms of what I got back from that, and I really thank you. We'll talk more about that. Darlene, right?
Yes.
That's how I'm saying it.
Rasmus.
Remember Pierre Maguire used to say some of those names, especially the Finnish names?
Yes.
You sound like Vlad the Impaler. I don't know why he did that. But you know what was funny? How many comments I got about missing Pierre Maguire yesterday on Twitter.
It's true, in the song.
And the song. And
exactly.
the song. Oh, yeah. You know, we're going to bring it all back. Don't you worry. Also, Dwayne Casey. You fired the guy that's the coach of the year. You're going to have to explain this one to me. I know a lot of people are talking about these moves forward. I don't know how you move forward when the guy you fired was deemed to be the best guy. Like, seriously. And then, of course, in the insanity of what we have, man fighting kangaroo. And then it's real. It's weird.
Go kangaroo, go.
Yeah. Oh, no. Kangaroo was being bad to a dog, and I mean, it was like I was going to be sick.
Oh, geez.
And
okay,
then
see, I didn't know that part of it.
Buddy comes to the rescue, and then some other stuff ensues, including also this morning looking at a very early preview of someone named John Tavares. Or it's, what's his name? Lloyd Robertson.
Never heard of him.
Says, we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at a youngster named John Tavares, and he's causing quite a stir in Oshawa. Why do people talk like that?
I have no idea. I love the fake voices of media.
The newsreader, what do they call it? A vocal fry? Or what is,
there's like seven. Like, do they go up to the McDonald's window and go, large fry, Big Mac, and I'll have a Diet Coke? What about you, Sally?
Remember how good Russell was before he left?
He was good.
Yeah, we make him say Russell Graham, City Pulse.
City Pulse.
Devlin, would you like to try that? I mean,
yeah, Devlin.
You're taller and certainly more attractive than Russell.
Smarter, better at your job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things you can go with you.
By the way, we've had the two largest weeks of our lives on this show. And Devlin's been producing all of it.
Russell, you just may as well move to Sweden.
Poor Russell. I would like to address what we talked about yesterday and the history of what went on for both Dave and myself at TSN 1050. We've never, since we've started the show, received so much response, and the response was just incredible. It was so positive, and a lot of it, of course, was very disturbing to those listeners. They didn't, I guess, really understand why all of a sudden we disappeared, and when it came to the manner in which we were tossed or kicked to the curb, however you want to put it, thrown under the bus, people were sickened by it. And so I just thought maybe it might have been time, but I'll be honest, there was a couple of people on Twitter, including a Stu Gotts, who said, you kind of put something out there and you're not going to answer it. You're not going to follow up with some details on what was just so bad. And I got to be honest, it was your tweet that kind of pushed me over that. So I thank you for that, because a lot of people didn't know. They didn't know where we had gone. Dave, they just knew that somehow we disappeared, but they always felt something was not right. Mm-hmm. Or like, why all of a sudden were, your top guys gone? It just didn't really seem to make sense. They knew that I'd fought cancer and just had no idea that it turned out that way. So for all your kind thoughts, and for all those people in the media,
yeah, no kidding,
who obviously most of them were all private or direct messages.
It's in the 30s and 40s too.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
People.
Yes.
I'm just saying, just take that into consideration, that over 40, I'm going to say 45 people email, text, or direct messaged Mike with this, and think about how small that media core is.
And some of them were very public. A guy like Jeff Hutchison, who was one of the mainstays of Canada AM for years. I mean, he did your weather every morning. He wrote books. He took you on tours across the country when they'd follow him. He was just beloved. And, of course, when Canada AM came down, there were kind of similar moves. And because Bell was pulling the trigger on that. So he said, you know, I'm going to retweet this stuff and look at some of these similarities. And so some people who worked on that show got a hold of me. So we appreciate all those kind of thoughts and hope that you've joined us today. We know that the subscriptions started to really climb. And so we hope that we can keep you here, that you'll follow us, and so will those that like our show, get the word out there, and we can do what we like to do. So once again, from the bottom of both my heart and Dave's and our families who went through it, thank you so much for yesterday. You're watching rawmikeRichards.com on the website, or, of course, on the dedicated YouTube channel, which is kind of the best way to get it, and you get all the individual promos as we throw them out, including I would say something like we're going to show you in moments. Dwayne Casey, who has always been a great fan of the show, big fans of Dave and myself. I just loved when he came on. But I also thought he was a man of not only the talent to win in this city, but it's the accountability part. It's the mentorship. It's what he stood for. Not every great coach is a great guy. He just happens to be both. And so what do you do and how do you address an international audience, which the NBA awards would be, when you know that the team you took to its greatest heights ever also gasses you, and then you win the award for most valuable coach? How do you do it? And this is total Dwayne Casey, Coach Casey at his best. He does it very gently with a lot of humility, and it's still pretty funny. But last night, property of the NBA and NBA media and broadband properties, here's last night's award show, Dwayne Casey, Coach of the Year.
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to all the writers, and also to Brad and Quinn, who are two outstanding coaches. To the rest of the coaches in the NBA, you have a lot of great coaches in the league. Also, I'd like to thank my beautiful wife, who is the head coach of our family, and the number one loyal assistant that I have. Two beautiful children, Zachary and Justine, who are at home in Toronto, finishing up school. All the players in Toronto in the past 4 or 5 years, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Jonas Valanciunas, all the core guys that built the program to where it is today, finishing with the 59 wins this year at franchise record. Those guys, 4-time All-Stars, Olympians. I'm so proud of them, of what they've accomplished. All the coaches that I've worked with, Joe B. Hall at Kentucky, Eddie Sutton at Kentucky, Clem Haskins at Western Kentucky, George Karl, who brought me into the NBA back in the early 90s, Paul Westphal, Nate McMillan, who I work with, and also Rick Carlisle, who we won a championship with in Dallas, and also Pete Newell, who really taught me a lot in my years over in Japan in exile, so to speak, and also, too, with Tim Gergerich, who by far is one of the best developers in the league. Also, Rex Glamians here was one of my all-time assistants in 2 places. And I'm going to say this, you know, when you get fired, which I did recently, I don't know if you knew that or not, after winning Coach of the Year, you know, you always doubt yourself a little bit. You think, okay, can I do this? Do I want to do this again? And then I interviewed with Tom Gores, the owner of the Detroit Pistons, who he and I connected, and he's given me the opportunity that I'm very appreciative of for someone to believe in you. And that's all you want as a player and also as a coach, an owner who believes in you and trusts you with his franchise. And I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to working with Arn and also Ed Stefanski. And again, thank you so much, and so many other you know, great coaches in the league. But thank you, and have a great summer.
That is the reason I played the whole thing is because the guy is just
the best
just
ever.
The class, the dignity.
Is that the best Toronto head coach in the last
I think
30 years, 40 years,
I don't know how, if we're going to start looking
50 years.
at
I'm trying
like
to think of-
in the franchise history now. People will talk about.
No, I'm talking all of Toronto sports. Not to, like that's the best Raptor coach in Raptor history, but I'm talking about every single coach that has been in the city when you've been in the city, and you've been in the city longer than I have. Is that the best as far as
That's that's a Twitter question today. That's the Twitter question.
Because I was trying to think of like Cito Gaston was a very good manager for the Blue Jays. He wasn't like that.
Like people,
he was not like that.
Because you're gonna have to go back to the Punch Imlach days where they won. When
I don't think Punchy was well liked like this guy.
Oh, you're saying just in terms of liked?
Well, liked
because Pat Burns was huge in the city.
Oh, that's a very good one. Yes,
Pat Burns was huge.
Maybe since Pat Burns, because you look at all the other coaches.
Obi was.
Yeah,
Obi was.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Dave. I mean, there's years where I saw some of these other losers come in. Roger Nilsson, I used to push him around. I go, get me a Coca-Cola, bitch.
He was known for saying that. I know.
Come on, squirrel. Go get me some.
John Gibbons is a very nice guy.
John Gibbons. See, I like John. I think I like John.
Like likable and good at what he does. Like it's nice to be a likable coach and then stink out the joint. But you're not going to last long. This guy was very likable and the winningest Raptor coach in the history of the organization.
He certainly goes up. I think you got to put him up there. But there's your question. Here's your Twitter question today. In light of what we just saw at the NBA award show and the amazing former coach of the Raptors, Dwayne Casey.
I hate it when it says former.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
Yeah, it is.
Who has been the most liked and the most successful at their job in the history of Toronto sports? Is he of the Mount Rushmore? Is he one of the four?
Yes.
Is he one of the four? That's your question today on Twitter. And there's your cut right there, Devin, when you have to make the promo.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Go do it, Douglas.
Yeah. See, I like saying Devlin. I prefer Devlin.
I'm going with Douglas.
I prefer Devlin. Your grandpa calls you Devlin? See, there you go.
Beware of Doug.
And beware of those Buffalo Sabres because, just like Rick Jenner here, Darlene. So we know he's got to come up with one of that.
Yeah, he's gonna have to. He's gonna have to think of it fast because dude's gonna be in that lineup next year.
Darlene, you know what I mean.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, something like that.
No, that's good because he's not playing for Rochester next year.
No,
so he is a Buffalo Sabre. You know what the funny thing too with the draft? I know we'll get to Darlene and the free agents and all that kind of stuff. There were 3 Rasmuses drafted in the first round alone, and no Mike or Daves.
Yeah, see, that's wrong. I'll tell you something. Here's something else too, eh? Where'd all the Dougies go?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, there, Dougie.
Besides this guy working with us.
And Dale was always good too, eh?
Very good. Yeah, maybe the greatest ever.
Howard Chuck, eh? Howard Chuck.
You got it.
So it is Rasmus Dahlin. And again, no one, that was...
What, you think you're a Pierre Maguire?
That was the vampire version of how Swedish people talk.
Speaking of vampires, general manager of the Vancouver Canucks, Dracula. If you watch that first round draft and him walk into the podium, Benning, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Dracula.
Okay.
Even has the haircut, too.
Which is very rare. You rarely go into
you don't get that.
A hair salon and go, can you give me the Dracula?
Yeah.
Seriously? You want Dracula? Okay, so Rasmus Dahlin.
You know I'm
now
right,
he's Italian. Now he's Italian. Property of the National Hockey League, and we'll say the Buffalo Sabres, and apparently Toyota's in on this one too.
Go get him.
Here's what he thinks about maybe playing also a rivalry with this Toronto Maple Leafs team.
I've heard that Buffalo and Toronto Maple Leafs are having some hard games, so that would be fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Rasmus, how does this feel to finally be here in Buffalo and back in Buffalo and to be a part of the Sabres?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. Just to actually put on this jersey with this logo on, it feels amazing.
The place is a dump.
Waiting for this for so long, so
there are a lot of fires, I see.
Yeah, like finally I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the.
Little does he know the best part about Buffalo is leaving Buffalo.
Well. But I've had some fun times in Buffalo.
Saying.
I'm not going to say that I'm not.
The best time is leaving.
How good is he going to be? Because I've seen those highlights.
He's going to be very good.
And he is unbelievable.
He is already a favorite to win the Calder Trophy next year. That's how good this guy is. This guy is going to flourish under a Phil Housley, former Winnipeg Jet, and he will continue to grow. I'm not going to say he's going to turn into an Erik Karlsson. You hope he does if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, but he will be a top 10 defenseman within the next 2 to 3 years in the NHL. He's not going to be it next year. There's a lot of great defensemen, but he will be a top 10 in the next 2 to 3 years. That's how good this guy is.
So what has he got to work with? So, I mean, it's great when you see this, but you looked at what they did last year, and goaltending certainly was an issue, Dave.
Yeah, he's not going to be there. Robin Leonard's not going to be a Buffalo Sabre. He's an unrestricted free agent. I think the Buffalo Sabres have turned the page. I think the Sabres are probably one of those teams that are looking for a goaltender. That's why I'm really surprised they weren't in on the Philip Grubauer sweepstakes.
That's supposed to happen.
That's okay. I'm really surprised they didn't kind of put some weight into that, because I thought, okay, well, there's your goaltender, but Colorado beat him to the punch. But there's still other goaltenders out there. The Sabres will have a different one next year.
So we will get into that. So if we're looking at what is going to be your free agent frenzy, and I truly believe in some years it's like, oh God, nothing happened. Well, I just got a feeling this is going to be, as you saw, you know, sort of, if you want to say first blood. I don't know if you're talking about Domi going to Montreal necessarily, but I think
it's a big trade.
But the Calgary deal certainly was substantial. I'm just wondering, what do you see coming? And we just mentioned Buffalo. If you're looking at goaltending, and this is why we brought up that conversation about Garrett Sparks the other day. Yeah. If he is a movable piece and you think that he might be attractive to others.
I just don't know if the Leafs trade him within the division. That's the only problem.
But I think
But Garrett Sparks could go to Buffalo and compete for a starting job. That's also saying something about what the Sabres have too, which isn't a lot. So
who do you think in terms of obviously John Tavares, because he started his tour of Who Loves Me the Most?
Yeah, it should be a show, eh?
And Mike Babcock and company got the first chance at it. And
shout out to Mike Commodore, the former Detroit Red Wing, former everything, Mike Commodore, who tweeted
Flame?
this. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Calgary Flame. Mike Commodore on Commie22 on Twitter. John Tavares had Toronto high on his list of destinations until he was forced to sit in the same room as Mike Babcock for 15 minutes. Today, Toronto is officially out of it. Not the biggest fan of Mike Babcock.
He would have said, Johnny, JT, we'd like to win. We're going to get at it, and you can be part of the group. We'd like to see you come up and play with us, and we'll give you a free parking spot, which is good. And,
that is good.
And hookers, if you like the sex,
really,
we can do that. Yeah,
he's going to add that too.
Cads can go out and find some, because I'm pretty sure he's a dirty kid. So that's what we done. That's what we're going to get going to, and I think you got a chance to win here. And that's what we're all about.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah. Great seeing you this summer.
Yeah, I forgot we used to do that all the time.
The Leafs will knock on the door of a couple free agents. Don't be surprised. Obviously, they're in on John Tavares. That's a worst kept secret. But they have to start knocking on doors of defensemen. There isn't a lot of defensemen out there,
and that's one of the things that kind of everybody's looking for. So you gotta
it's funny. Mike Green had an okay season, a lot of injuries with the Red Wings, but he's going to be high on a lot of lists.
How old is he though?
He's pushing past that 30-year mark. Yeah. So he's not his years of what he used to do with the Washington Capitals, that's gone. But I think he's still a useful defenseman. Are you going to overpay for a Mike Green? Yes. Like I would go as far as saying maybe the Maple Leafs should kick the tires on a Toby Enstrom. He's not going to be part of the Winnipeg Jets next year. The Jets have kind of parted ways, but Toby Enstrom is an upgrade on what the Leafs have at the 4-5 spot for defense. Probably wouldn't cost you a hell of a lot of money, but would help what you have in that place. So I don't know. It's more of a bandage situation, but you're looking for a defenseman like that. You talked about the Calgary Flames. If James Van Riemsdyk doesn't go to the East Coast of the United States, I would be surprised. So you put the Devils, Flyers, Rangers, and Islanders into that mix. Those were the four I would look at as the best possibilities. But the Calgary Flames should be kicking the tires on a James Van Riemsdyk to go to Calgary. Great scoring winger.
That would be great for them.
And still has many years of productivity. Going to cost you a little bit in free agency, probably $6 million plus.
But they need a guy with a compete level that relays to the others that losing is shitty, that losing sucks. Because I think the problem with some of these guys, and I'll be honest, that's why you're pointing the finger at Dougie Hamilton. He was just so laid back. He was a little pissed off when he felt that his brother, didn't get treated well by the Flames and sent down. So, I mean, there's a little of those issues, and I understand why you'd move a guy like that. And by the way, coming back the other way, a little bit younger, you're going to get guys that have more pay. So I don't see that. I mean, I never want to off the top say who wins and who loses. I'll still wait to see that on how that transpires. Certainly in Carolina with Dougie Hamilton, but you got to hate losing, Dave.
Yep.
You have to have that mentality. If losing doesn't suck, then it's hard to motivate my guy, and it makes me nervous if he's that laid back. I just I get laid back personalities. Look, Jerome McGinley is going to be one of the nicest people you'd ever meet on the street. He'd be one of the most and in your dressing room like your best friend. But that guy does not like losing.
Nope.
He does not like losing. He's got a level of compete that is reflected in his level of physical fitness, to be honest. So you need to find guys like that. The reason I think that John Tavares is so sought after is, the age is still it's still right in the meat of what he can do. He hates to lose. His family, like his lineage, has a history of excellence, and his uncle John Tavares, same name, and he says, when JT was on the show, I said, so who says he's the better John Tavares? He goes, oh, my uncle. My uncle clearly thinks he's the best John Tavares in the family. But it's that culture of winning sometimes that we talk about. It exists in their family. He's got a great attitude. When he came to the studio, when I met him, I was like, and I said to Pierre Maguire, I said, John Tavares was on the show the other day. He goes, so what'd you think, Michael? And I said, it made me want to coach again. When you meet an athlete like that, from me that loves coaching and is in my family, I'm like, I gotta get back out there again. I gotta coach anything, just because that is the kind of inspiration that he gives you to mentor that way. So I understand that. So now you've got San Jose and Boston have their chance today. Then you've got Tampa Bay and Dallas on Wednesdays.
Yep.
And then the caravan of teams are going to be, as it says here, you've got Lou Lamoriello and what he's put for the Islanders. I just don't see it, Dave. I really don't. I can't see what they're going to offer him where he's still not going to have to bust his balls trying to get that team. And I just don't know if even the environment, like how you get to practice, like the whole thing, Dave, I just don't know if the Islanders can convince him.
And that's what a lot of people are forgetting. When you have 3/4 of your games in Brooklyn, New York, a quarter of your game on Long Island and Nassau County, your practice facility is nowhere in between either of them. And you're living, where are you living? And you know what I mean? Like, you think Toronto traffic is bad? New York traffic, driving into Brooklyn, New York for 30 games, 35 games. That's a royal pain in the ass. It's nice that they're building their facility at Belmont Park. That's going to be ready in 3 years. So unless somehow the Islanders can guarantee that this rink will be built in the next 2 months, which they will never be able to guarantee that, that's the number one detour. He's to a point where he's been in New York. He's bought the T-shirt. He's bought the house. Married. He's been there. He's learning now he wants comfort. Now he wants this to be here, this to be here, this to be. It's almost like our situation. We're in Toronto. It's like we like Toronto. We don't want to necessarily move, but it's like, where's the comfort zone? Where's the best comfort zone for your family and yourself? Not just a gazillion. He's going to make as much money as he wants to make with any of those 5-6 teams, whatever it works out to. It's about living and what my accommodations will be when I go here, here, and here and have to take care of day-to-day life.
By the way, his agent, because was it Donald mentioned yesterday, who's trying to convince him with bagels for the rest of his life every morning, mentioned about CAA, and I wasn't sure if it was Pat Morris, I think, at Newport Sport. It is CAA. It's Pat Brisson.
Pat Brisson, yeah.
And so CAA, once again, they'll take him on this tour of what we can give you. What I can tell you is the strangeness sometimes of, I guess when you get to a certain age, you remember like when they were kids.
Yes.
And so his time in Oshawa, where he was a phenom, actually made the news, I think, back in 2007, and it was Lloyd Robertson talking about this young phenom from Oakville. His name is John Tavares. Really? Do you think he's going to be good? Oh, yeah, he's going to be good. This is just so weird in the setup but also look at how good he was. You know, we're talking Major Junior A. We're talking the O. And he was that good at that age. No wonder everyone loves him.
And finally, for us tonight, Canada has produced some of the biggest hockey names in the world.
Whoa.
Stars like Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr, Wayne Gretzky, and Sidney Crosby. And every year in this hockey-mad country, fans wonder about the next great player. Right now, there's quite a buzz about a 16-year-old boy who is so good, they've changed the rules for him. And John Tavares of the Ontario Hockey League's Oshawa Generals is living up to the hype. With 58 goals in only 55 games, Tavares is tearing up the league. And as we hear from CTV's Scott Laurie, in tonight's success story, the future is bright for the teen from Oakville, Ontario.
Tavares goes in on goal! He scores!
As the Ontario Hockey League's third highest scorer with 108 points, John Tavares lights it up for the Oshawa Generals.
I think he's probably the next Wayne Gretzky.
Next Sidney Crosby. The guy's got an amazing talent.
His standing in the scoring race is unusual because the 6-foot, 185-pound Tavares is only 16. The only players with more points are 2 and 4 years older.
Being so young and being allowed to play in the OHL, just had to prove myself, show them that I deserve to be there.
2 years ago, at 14, he was the subject of controversy. Scouts said he was ready for the OHL, but only players 15 and up could be drafted. Well, they bent the rules, making allowances for so-called exceptional players.
Now looking back on it, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was till then. I was just really excited being allowed to play in the league.
His parents, Joe and Barb, watch in amazement.
I just still see him as the kid I brought up. Still wants to play hockey.
He's ready for it, though. He's up for the challenge, and I'm just really happy for him.
People who watch the Ontario Hockey League are asking this question. If Tavares is already dominating at 16, what's he going to be doing in 2 years when he's still here? Former Toronto Maple Leaf Brad Selwood is Oshawa's coach and general manager.
They say John may be the next one. We hope he is, if we do our job here in the next couple of years.
A lot of people are likening him to Gretzky and Crosby. I think he's going to be his own person.
But Tavares says he's trying not to get distracted.
What I try and do is just be a normal 16-year-old like any other teenager and just hang out and be like everyone else.
NHL teams can't draft him until 2009. By then, he could go from being the OHL's top draft pick to premier NHL prospect. Scott Laurie, CTV News, Oshawa, Ontario.
Isn't that interesting, too? And by the way, or I should say, and by the way, Dave.
That's more like it.
By the way, hey, Devlin, what size waist you got there? Looks like it's about a 28. I like a small waist on a man.
You certainly do.
Robinson, get off the air. You're still live. Don't tell me. Don't you look at me. Do you know who I am? And then it got uncomfortable. So I had a Brad Selwood stick that my Uncle Guy gave me.
Okay.
So Gunnar Kinnear, right? So there's the trainer of the Leafs. I'm like, oh, get me a Keon, get me all these big names. And he goes, good one. Brad Selwood. Why are you being so cheap? Why are you doing that? But interesting that, we talked about blue chip, how hard it is to be blue chip at a certain age, transfer that into a pro career, and continue on that level of success. And clearly he's done that. And he's also kept the great attitude. Whoever gets him gets a lot. I'm just...
Ooh, massive, yes.
I look at those teams. Like, I think there has got to be, because of his, plays in Oshawa, family from Oakville. I mean, the Toronto area, this is where he's from. To be able to bring a cup back to Toronto like that, how can that not be like a drug almost? I think Toronto has a chance. I think they have a legitimate chance.
Yeah, I think they have a chance too. The thing that I think will zero in on his possibilities.
Yeah, just flip it to Dave while he's talking though. Yeah. I know something just went wrong. There you go.
Hey.
Yeah.
The thing that's going to hurt his not hurt his chances, but if somehow the Maple Leafs could garner this, which I'm sure they've been thinking ahead, is captaincy. Yes, you have to make that assurance that that's going to be the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, because that's a very prestigious type of honor to be the captain of the Maple Leafs. Now, outside of the money, they can't offer max term because they don't own the player. If it's a free agent on July 1st, they can't max out at 8 years, so it's going to be a little bit less. That's okay. The other aspect is, what can companies in Toronto do sponsorship-wise with John Tavares?
No, Pat Brisson, that's why Brisson's going to be looking at that kind of stuff, saying, okay, that's great. So is he the pizza
exactly
face
everything
whatever?
Exactly and what I'm looking at primarily, just because we're going to get an arena change in about 20 days, 10-15 days.
I can hardly wait for that, Dave.
Scotiabank and John Tavares seem to be on a crash course if he's a Toronto Maple Leaf. So if you think you're seeing a lot of Scotiabank commercials with different players after July 1st, if he's a Toronto Maple Leafs, it's John Tavares central. Like, this guy should be dominating all sort of Scotiabank promotions, anything. And you know how well they do with hockey. They might be one of the number one companies partnership-wise with the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and so forth. All that money he's going to make away from the rink is almost as important of what he's going to do on the ice, because he has the potential right now, Mike, to max out big time. This is his family's legacy right here that's going to happen.
So let me ask you this in this respect then. In terms of being, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a recognizable entity in that market. How is Toronto not going to be dwarfing San Jose, Boston, Tampa Bay, Dallas? I'm not saying that they wouldn't put him out there, but if I put his face out there right now in San Jose, if I put his face out in Dallas, Boston, or Tampa Bay, unless you're a Canadian walking down the street, I'm hard-pressed to think that there's that kind of prestige that goes with that. If I'm the Maple Leafs, and I'm Shanny and I'm Kyle Dubas, I'm saying, look, if you want this, if you want to come here, which obviously is our huge intent, you tell us the level of availability, how comfortable are you being that recognizable, because you know the moment that you become a Toronto Maple Leaf, you become, if Austin Matthews is up here, then I'm saying Tavares is above him.
Agreed. Completely. He is above anything in Canada, and I'm sorry that includes Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid, better player. John Tavares will be advertised a hell of a lot more. Now, that brings up another good point. Does John Tavares want this? Does John Tavares want to be front and center, newspapers, commercials, this and that? Because he doesn't come across as the, hey, I'm Smiling Pete. I love every single camera I see. In Los Angeles, you can be buried there. You can make your cash. You can do okay in endorsements, not like you can in Toronto. You can do okay. You can live your life. You can go place to place, grocery store to grocery store without being tagged and grabbed and everything like that.
That's
you can't do that here.
Yeah, and that's why I said, based on the event, you tell me how recognizable you want to be, how available you want to be, because, look, some of those guys that play in the Islanders, to get to where they've got to go to practice, I know some have been on the subway. Do you think for 1 second that John Tavares could be on the subway and they say, Union Station, and he's got his hockey bag and stuff? Like, excuse me, I just have to, yeah. If you could you hold the door for a second? Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm on the team. Actually, is can you? To me, that's
never.
But if he wants to take a private helicopter every day from, let's say, he wanted to live in Oakville and take a helicopter to practice, they'll make that available.
There should.
Yeah. The sound you're going to hear upon him saying yes is. It's just, I think Toronto's got a real chance here, because everyone's going to pay what, 11, or they pay 12.
Well, it looks like the Islanders' rate, the rumored rate was $11 million over 8 years. I think a Toronto, Los Angeles, San Jose has to do better than that. That's
in the room wise. I mean, now we're talking about cap space.
Yeah, exactly. You have to make adjustments too. Like I think the mark is, and again, we don't know if this means a lot to him. The mark is defeating the Connor McDavid contract. That's how I would walk into this going, this is what Connor's been paid. John's going to cost you more than Connor McDavid. Are you interested? Toronto Maple Leafs, San Jose Sharks, LA Kings, Las Vegas Golden Knights,
So the
whoever
Kings.
the hell.
No,
you're
I think
doing.
the Kings are out. I think the Kings got to be out after Kovalchuk.
Right. Well, they hurt themselves employing a guy that is
But why
in his mid to late 30s.
Like, see, I never understood. So you're telling me you're going to spend or invest that money, and trust me, it's not the same money, but it's significant enough money that they're going.
It's a chunk, yeah.
Well, we got to. So we're out on.
It's half the contract of a John Tavares for a year. Yeah.
So now we're out on that. I don't understand that.
Yeah, and then the
like
other
Lombardi's good because I know he rolls the dice and he's a little bit of a
Rob Blake, or
Blake rather.
Yeah. No, but see the thing is too, a year from today, Drew Doughty's going to be sitting there going,
"Yeah,
time to pay. I want more than PK Subban. My contract is going to be more than John Carlson, who just signed with the Washington Capitals. 8 years, $8 million a season. Drew Doughty's going to hit 10.
Carlson, is that good money? Money well spent for you?
As far as
the dollar figure and the term,
I think it's a fantastic contract.
Yeah.
If you're the Washington Capitals, you're going, wow, this is outstanding. And if you're John Carlson, you're going, I left money on the table, but I wanted to play in Washington. So,
well, it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing plays out. And for me, just for the sake of an engagement, is look, you don't need more names or anything when it comes to Maple Leafs because people are going to the games.
Yep.
It's a Leaf town, not a hockey town, by the way.
Nope.
Not necessarily a hockey town.
No.
That transition to the excitement of the Calder Cup is directly related to their excellent relationship, obviously, and the combination with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But if it was anything else, people are not sitting there lined up to watch any hockey game. It's got to be a Leaf game.
Did they have a Marley parade or anything?
I don't think so.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm trying to think of. I thought they shouldn't they have. Douglas, did they have a Marley parade?
They should have had a.
Or did they do something at City Hall? Don't you think they should have?
Well, City Hall definitely should have been there. I don't know.
I don't get
but see,
that.
But this is exactly what I'm saying. It wouldn't even be on the radar because that's not what happens here. You're watching RonMikeRichards.com, both on the website and the dedicated YouTube channel. Hopefully you have subscribed. And are we having issues? We can't even get up the other things that we wanted to do today. The computer just shut off.
That's the best.
Nice job, nerds. Way to go. See, I've said this for years. All that time we taunted them, rolled them in the mud,
took
their glasses off, took the pocket, put it down their pants. The Bill Gates of the world, the dateless, the not going to the prom, the I'm picked last for every sport ever for my whole life.
It's catching up.
You got us back. You got me back. You got me back. Congratulations. You've won, nerds. Don't think the Japanese aren't behind this, too. You know who you are, right? Okay. All righty. CFL will be coming up this weekend as well. I'll actually be going to the game in Hamilton. I'm going to go with our good friend Jeff Madison, Bob from Burlington. That'll be an interesting night. And I think I was going to say I want to go up and see the Yard Dog and his restaurant, the Conquistador, on Hamilton Mountain.
Yard Dog's
but I'm going to be seeing
us,
I'm going to see him a lot sooner than that. We're going to talk to him tomorrow. Those of you who've watched TSN 1050 for a long time know that Yard Dog is a long-time listener. And he also his family's really generous. Really generous. His mom works for Cadbury. We got like boxes and boxes of Cadbury, and I mean the big giganto Rita McNeil sized boxes of chocolate.
I think that's actually what it's called.
Yeah, it is. He also is a whiskey man, bourbon man, and huge into cigars. And I guess there's some change in the law for small businesses that's going to make it really hard for that to happen. If you're a cigar smoker, you're so limited now anyway. It doesn't matter where you go, literally North America. To find a place even where you buy a cigar and then have an area to smoke it, really hard to find, almost impossible.
Ted Nisbet on our live YouTube channel. Marley's had a big party outside of the Rico on Saturday, June 16th. A couple days after winning the cup, lots of free hot dogs giveaways. 4,000 people attended apparently.
Oh, hot dogs and giveaways. They're men.
Let me say. Hot dogs.
But look, and they were a great story in itself, and I think that when I look at what the Leafs have done with that organization in terms of even the logistics, it just makes. I mean, it has changed the way in which they're able to cultivate their own players in the minors. Like it's just been brilliant. So, congratulations! 'Cause I don't think we actually even said that to the Marlies, but that was an amazing job. And Garrett Sparks, that's why his stock up.
A lot of people don't know this, but Douglas here told me before the show that Garrett Sparks' nickname is Sparky.
Well, that would make because when you're doing hockey nicknames, if it ends in an S.
Yeah, he said, I don't know if you knew
you could
this.
be Sparksy.
Yeah. He kind of went Lloyd Robertson on me too. He said, I don't know if you know this, but
Dave, is this seriously not going to work? Do you think? So everything else. Oh, I had Steven Seagal fighting for real.
Really? Eh?
And a really strange clip of people fighting kangaroos, which was awesome.
Actually, you know what? Now that you say it, I remember seeing it. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's pretty awesome what the guy does. And the kangaroo had it coming.
Kangaroo's bad kangaroo.
Let's just say as a preview, the guy did to the kangaroo what you did to Bell Media yesterday.
Okay, yeah, that is true.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's exactly what happened. And also a weird thing about Ricky Ray, so maybe we'll do that tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. What else do we want to talk about?
He's out of hospital.
Yeah.
That's a good part.
Well, even when he was coming off, he was talking about his extremities, that, he was moving his hands, moving his toes, which is always a good sign. And when you actually see it, at the moment it happened, I wasn't sure how, obviously, when it deals with the neck, you're going to take protocol, which is what they did. It took like 25 minutes to probably get him off the field.
Yes.
But I didn't, and maybe that was wrong of me to think that, okay, like, well, I'm a surgeon now, I understand all this stuff, that he's going to be okay, but it just, because it wasn't monumental, but I think the reality is when it comes to incidents like that, it's the ones that don't look like massive, spectacular car wrecks that are the most challenging and sometimes the worst. The other thing, too, is that almost happened, and I've seen this happen in a Grey Cup. When your own teammate doesn't see you coming, and you hit each other,
I know.
Those are the worst.
They totally are.
Those are the worst, and that was very close to happening on that play as well. By the way,
Argo's on a bye week. By the way,
they need it, and this came at a perfect time too. It came at a perfect time because I got to be honest, they got a lot of work to do. Because right now I'm looking at the Eastern Conference. I'm going, okay, Hamilton 1, Ottawa 2, and the other 2 you figured out for yourself. And there's no way people thought that the Argos would be in the same category as a really sketchy Montreal Alouette team.
Montreal is the worst team in football. Toronto should do better than third. We'll see what happens if they could get themselves in the race for 1 and 2 in the East. That's kind of how it breaks down. There will be another crossover in the West.
Definitely. That's happening.
I mean, tell me the last time that didn't happen.
Week 2, it's already obvious that the West is going to cross over. How embarrassing is that? That is just so tough. Looking at the World Cup today as well, I always say, that does it. I'm never betting on this stupid stuff again. Denmark and France are tied. I liked France in that game.
Yep.
But it's 0-0. Peru beating Australia, that's not a surprise. That's not a surprise.
That's at halftime. Both games at half.
Nigeria, 0 respect, apparently. So as we look at sports interaction, Croatia is a 1.01, Nigeria a 37. Yeah, we'll probably Morocco was like that yesterday, and Iran was that way, and both games drew.
There? I know.
Unbelievable. Mexico and Germany. Wait a minute.
No, they already played. Germany plays Korea.
Wednesday.
They play tomorrow.
Mexico, so I'm looking.
Sweden.
Yeah, how does that? That's written kind of weird on this one.
No. So
I see. That's just a win. These are props.
That's Mexico, Sweden, Korea, Germany are the 10 o'clock games tomorrow. Switzerland, Costa Rica, Serbia, and Brazil are the 2 o'clock games. If everybody wins the way they're supposed to, there's a crash course happening between Brazil and Germany in the next round.
Iceland, Croatia. I'm taking Croatia. Nigeria versus Argentina. I'm taking Argentina. Mexico, Sweden. I'm definitely taking Mexico. And then Germany should win by
6 goals.
Lot. It could be just embarrassing.
They should, but has Germany laid down the boots on anybody so far?
Not yet, but I got a feeling it's coming.
I hope.
I got a feeling. I think it's an England-Tunisia kind of score.
Good.
Switzerland. Serbia, Brazil. Serbs getting no respect here. Be careful with that.
You think?
Be careful with that.
You think?
They'll grind. They'll make this thing.
I don't know.
The last thing I'm doing to a Serbian is going, you can't do it. To a Serb? Go ahead. Insult the Serb. Find out what happens.
I got Brazil by multiple goals to win. Yeah, I take.
Not
Brazil.
if they're getting broken glass in their stomachs. I'm telling you, I wouldn't mess with a Serb. Switzerland, Costa Rica, Switzerland, a 1-6-6. The way this World Cup has been, I mean, I don't know. Japan, Poland.
Oof. Poland's out of it. Japan needs something to advance, and now the Colombia's won, who also play at the same time. They're back in it. 3 out of the 4 teams are in. Poland is already packing their bags.
By the way, I made a huge mistake yesterday. Last night I had to go to Sunnybrook just for like a CAT scan checkup kind of thing, and that's what you do like every 6 months or every once a year or whatever it is that I have to do. And so this last name was Kaczynski.
Okay.
And I said, Kaczynski, as I'm just about to go into the machine. Polish. He goes, yeah, Polish. You haven't been watching. He goes, get in the machine. Like I was like, oh, what a no. I thought they tried get in machine, and you talk. You like so funny the way you talk. No, I wasn't saying there's nothing wrong.
True.
Oh yeah, it was like what an what. Once you put me in the machine that goes.
he's adding extra buttons.
Yeah. It says, I don't know if you've been in the machine, but it goes, hold your breath.
Yeah. Breathe.
And he's probably going,
breathe.
Let's see how long Mr. Soccerman can breathe, asshole. Jerk off. I'm like,
Yeah.
As the machine's going even faster. No, that was very
totally
dumb.
Remember that.
That was dumb. I want to take a look at some football this week. As we know, the Argos, you just mentioned their...
Thursday night is Ottawa, Calgary, and Calgary. Pretty good matchup, actually, for a Thursday night game.
Let's, come on, football. Here we go. Come on, Phil Gray. Where the hell did that go? Okay, that disappeared on me. Sorry, folks. This is
that's okay.
A lot of weird things happening here today. We don't get our internet from Bell, do we? Here we go. Football, show me, looking for CFL. Of course, and this garbage thing that I used. No games available? Way to go, Phil. Tired today?
What do you mean, CFL?
Yeah.
That can't be. Really?
Okay. 0 games. Not available.
Really, eh?
A little tired, are we, Phil? A little late night last night? Can't get the numbers out? Get them out today.
I got some lines that are close to it.
Here's the other number I don't understand that's really weird. How was England favored against Belgium?
Public money. It's all
good.
public money.
Then good. Keep pounding pound on England.
That's exactly it. That's good strategy,
Keep
too.
doing it, you bastards.
That's right. Football right now, and these aren't up-to-date Sports Interaction, but it's an assistant type of site. Calgary 7.5-point favorites over Ottawa on Thursday night.
Ottawa looks awfully good.
Yeah, they
awfully
do.
good. I hate the number.
Yeah,
though.
Exactly. Hamilton 4-point favorites over Winnipeg on Friday Night Football. The late game, Edmonton 6.5-point favorites home to the BC Lions. Double bill on Friday night. 4 points. That Winnipeg Hamilton game's gonna be awesome. Yeah,
like that's gonna be a great game.
I think it's gonna be the game of the week, actually.
Yeah.
It's two pretty good teams, two teams that should be in playoffs. Winnipeg's coming off a massive win. Hamilton to win in Edmonton in a second week in Alberta is just as big. So that's the one I'm starring, and not just because of the teams that are involved.
The BC Lions might be better than people gave them credit for, including me at the beginning of the year, because I thought they were going to be pretty weak. And it is Wally's, right? Is farewell, the swan song.
Yep.
So maybe they're stepping up a little bit, which is always a little dangerous when you see football players. You know what I mean? It's such emotional, such a spiritual sport. When they lay it on the line, they can play above their skill level, and that might be happening today.
And maybe the gift of the week, and I know it's a lot of points. Saskatchewan home to Montreal. Saskatchewan 10.5-point favorites.
Oh, they'll cover that.
I think Saskatchewan might cover that in the first quarter. Yeah. I'm just saying.
So you do. Is it back on now? It'll take too long. Okay, so I'll tell you, we'll do some of the stuff tomorrow, and also, we'll talk about exactly who's coming up tomorrow.
Just become best friends? Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep.
Who doesn't?
It's time!
Once again, I'd like to thank everyone who responded to us and who has joined us for the first time as they've subscribed to Raw Mike Richards on the YouTube channel. So it's right. No, it's on this side, right in here. Just look for my head. That's what you do. Love the head. Live the head. Janet Jameson used to say that.
Well known for that, too, apparently.
Yeah. Good at it. Right, Devlin?
Let's get ready to rumble!
So tomorrow, the Yard Dog goes by other names. The Cigar Dungeon, or
yep,
he's got a lot of these.
And he's crazy. He spells dog with 2 G's.
Yeah. He looks like the clown from House of a Thousand Corpses, where they murdered everyone.
Yep.
Captain, whatever it is. He looks like that.
Yep.
May not have been a compliment. We'll see you tomorrow.